Afternoon, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for our July Women in Construction Speaker Series. My name is Celia Polman. I'm a mechanical engineer with Thompson Consulting Engineers, and I started this series back in January to provide a space for us to talk with successful women in our construction industry about their experiences and different topics and create a format for us to all come together and share experiences and grow in our careers. And today's guest speaker is Kristina Preisner. She is joining us today. Say hi. Yep. Thank you so much for your time. Kristina is the president of the ACEC, which is the American Council of Engineering Companies of Virginia. And she joined them in 2023 as the president with over 15 years of professional experience with trade organizations, nonprofits, events, and project management. Prior to joining ACEC Virginia, Kristina served as project manager at Boomi, where she oversaw significant projects like the Dell and Boomi divestiture. This role involved collaborating with cross-departmental teams, helping to stand up business, legal entities, global payroll, global benefit offerings, time tracking systems, banking, and payment systems, while also ensuring that her Boomi team members were seamlessly brought back under the Boomi fold. She has a strong track record in stakeholder management, risk analysis, and budget oversight. Her extensive experience includes roles at the Virginia Foundation for Independent Colleges, where she managed events, programs, and communication campaigns, and the Independent Insurance Agents of Virginia, where she oversaw education department, their nonprofit, and organized statewide classes and networking events. Kristina holds a Bachelor of Arts in International Studies and Business Economics from Randolph-Macon College. Excuse me. She's also active in her community, volunteering her time with professional associations and community organizations, contributing to initiatives like the Richmond Food Co-op, Junior Achievement, VSAE, and VAFRE. Kristina resides in Richmond with her partner Matt and their puppy Josie. And in her free time, she enjoys traveling, skiing, yoga, hiking, and spending time with her friends and family. So thank you very much for taking time out of your extremely busy schedule, I'm sure, to join us today. We're glad to have you.
Thank you, Celia, for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and thank you to Megan as well for helping to coordinate this and getting this on the calendar. Is really excited to be part of this series.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. And everyone in the audience, just like in our previous sessions, we will have an ongoing Q&A or the chat up, so you all can ask any questions that you have of Kristina as we're going along. And I'll notice that, and then we'll get it in the conversation where it fits. And then around 12:45, 12:40 or so, we'll open it up to audience contributions. If you want to turn on your microphone, turn on your camera if you're comfortable with that, have a discussion directly with Kristina, we would welcome that. Otherwise, you can keep typing in the chat or Q&A. And we are just really excited to get this started. We're going to kind of do a little bit different than we've done before. Previously, it's been focused on our guests' experiences and their journey, and we'll still talk to Kristina about that today, but we'd like to kind of focus on the topic of building your tribe and the importance of that and kind of what that can do for you in your career and your life in general. So I guess let's start off, Kristina. Just kind of give us a bit of your background about yourself, your interests, passions, what you do, what got you there.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I'm now the president of ACEC Virginia. I've been here since October 2023. Have had a great time getting to know our members, the industry. From the start of things, I grew up in New Kent, Virginia, which is in between Williamsburg and Richmond. So a lot of people that live there, one of their parents commuted either way. I went to college at Randolph-Macon in Ashland, Virginia. I did 2 internships while I was at Randolph-Macon, one with a lobbyist firm here in the Richmond area, and then one with the nonprofit Virginia Foundation for Independent Colleges, which I worked at for 6 years later on in my career. So after college, I started with the Independent Insurance Agents of Virginia as their marketing coordinator, and then left there as their VP of the education department, their executive director of their nonprofit. While I was there, I oversaw their young professionals program, grew their nonprofit, and then oversaw all of the educational offerings throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. After 8 years at the trade association, I decided to move over to the Virginia Foundation for Independent Colleges. One of my past bosses at my internship when I was in college reached out to me. I was like, hey, I took a different position and I think you would be great at my position. Or do you have any interest in, taking this on? And I was like, yeah, love the mission. Had wanted to, get more into the nonprofit world. So I was like, yeah, let me go explore this option, got the job, and I stayed there for 6 years. And one of my girlfriends from growing up in New Kent reached out to me about the Boomi position. She had spent a good portion of her career in the nonprofit world as well, and had made that jump from nonprofit to the tech world. So just, whenever you're in a career, there's a lot of different paths that your career can take, as mine has. So she was like, hey, there's a project management position open, focusing on events and programs. You have a lot of great experience with that. I think you should look into this. And I was like, all right, I'll, check this out. Boomi was under Dell, so you were basically working for Dell Boomi. Large corporation, Dell has 120,000 people, maybe 130 now. Boomi, when I was there, had about 1,500. I think or maybe it was like 1,800 when I started. And so went over to Boomi, clicked with, the project management team, and I was there for 1.5 years, and I worked on the divestiture project that Celia noted in the bio. So I was supposed to work on, events and programming. Boomi got sold by Dell went to private equity. And so it became a very different experience than when I was first hired. So I got moved off of the project management side of events and brought into the divestiture world. So I spent 1.5 years working and getting a better understanding of the global markets, global business. And then it was my sister who found this position that I'm currently in with ACEC Virginia. She was like, we need to get you out. We need to change. She was on a mission. This is all going to come into all these people have been like part of my tribe that have gotten me to that next part of my career. And she's like, I think you would be, great at this position. And I was like, I don't know. This would be my, first jump into a true leadership position of this nature. And she's like, if you can do what you were just doing at Boomi and you have 15 years with nonprofits and trade associations, like I think, it's a good industry. Our dad was an engineer. So I was like, all right, I'll apply. What's the worst thing that can happen? They can tell me no. So went through the interview process and got to meet the, great team here at ACEC Virginia, our members, and just did really enjoy and wanted to be part of this group. So I'm happy and excited that I was offered the position and am here today. So that's kind of my journey through my career from, the interests and passions. Kind of went over that. I love to travel. I love to ski, just being outdoors, the hiking, kayaking. I'm a big yoga fan, and I love, pairing a good meal with a good beverage. So, and hanging out with family and friends.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely heard just in that intro kind of how your tribe supported you in your career and finding some great suggestions for you. I guess let's start off with kind of what would you describe as a tribe? Like when we say building a tribe, what do we mean? Where can you find that?
So a tribe is going to be, a group or a collective of friends, family, peers, colleagues. You can, it's not just one tribe. You can have multiple tribes. I know for me, it is going back to the friends that I grew up with. I'm still very close with, there's probably 9 of us in that group that I would consider like that hometown, high school, growing up tribe. We've known each other, some of us since we were, 3 years old. So a lot of us, it's like funny now. We've known each other, 30 years, and we've seen each other grow, seen each other grow through our careers, through college, higher education, our families. We've, stuck with each other through moves and watching people go, move globally here in the States, but always just making sure that we had time for one another to support one another. Another one of my tribes is my college group of friends. Just met them through Randolph-Macon College. And I will say with these groups, we've had different individuals outside of New Kent or Randolph-Macon, like friends of friends that have expanded the tribe, which makes it kind of cool to get different perspectives and having it grow kind of organically. And then from the professional side, I have professional colleagues that I keep in touch with from all my different careers, and also through BAFRI, VSAE, the professional organizations I belong to. And then from volunteering, I also have a group that from the food co-op that I've stayed very close with. And then I'll get into it later on, but ways that you can meet your tribe. But yeah, those are some of my key tribes, I would say. And from engagement, it's definitely, a mix of in-person, staying connected, through your cell phone, the group texts and just getting together. I will say from my other half, Matt, my partner, his tribes, a lot of them are in New York City, or, Long Island is where he's from. So he stays connected more on the virtual sense. So, he connects with them through his computer games and there's more techie words that he uses, but there's the virtual element too. So it doesn't always have to be in person. There's lots of different ways to stay connected with your tribe and build it along the way too.
Yeah, I definitely relate with that, similar to to your partner. I went to school up in the Midwest, and so a lot of my friends from that era are still either Midwestern or they've moved to the other coast. And so in order to stay connected, there's a lot of video calls and, phone calls, messages, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess let's see a little bit, even diving deeper into the backgrounds of your tribes a little bit, and then more so, how have they impacted your life and your career, to just kind of show the the real impact that having those strong connections can have for you.
Yeah, so I will say it doesn't always just have to be, a school or hometown friends or just work. There's so many different ways that you can build a tribe. It can be through sports leagues, higher education, continuing education, family, children. We all, when you have kids, you have PTOs, you have children's activities, you're meeting different groups that way that you could bring into your tribe. You're going to connect with different people. Your neighborhood as well. It's interesting. One of my, good friends now, we met during the pandemic walking our dogs. She had just moved down from Northern Virginia, and our dogs kind of became friends on these walks, and we are still close friends to this day. But it's kind of the random ways that you can build upon your tribe. It doesn't always have to be the traditional ways. I talked a little bit about my volunteer work, professional as well, through work, professional and trade organizations. I know here at, just the short time at ACEC Virginia, I've built a lot of great connections within our membership, and then just even the ACEC Virginia team, just a great group of, individuals, ladies that I work with, that we can, share experiences and build upon one another's successes and encourage one another to, try new things. And so as I was talking about throughout my career, I have pulled different sources, I guess, of my tribe. And sometimes they might be, tangents of a tribe that come back into play. I know when I was, looking for this next position while I was at Boomi, I was, kind of talking to different people and just saying, this is what's going on. It was interesting. I had run into one of my friends from college that I hadn't seen, we kind of more acquaintances, were friends, but don't see each other that often. Ran into him with his wife at the VMFA. And he was like, send me your resume. I used to be in recruiting. I'll take a look at this resume. His wife was like, I work at McKesson. Get me your resume. I'll get you to the hiring manager and connect you. And so we formed this team. And so he got my resume ready. She got me in connection with, McKesson worked. So that was really cool to see how someone that you were, close to, a decade ago or more comes back into your sphere, and you're like, okay, like, thank you so much. I'm glad that we stayed connected this way. With the internships, it's been interesting too, being back at ACEC Virginia. I went to one of the legislative events, and it was just networking, mingling, and I look over and it was my boss who owned the lobbyist firm that I interned at. And I went over, I was like, oh my gosh, such a small world. Like, I thought he had retired, but he is still, actively working, and run into him all the time at these events. And his partner at that firm, the lobbying firm, lives in my neighborhood. And so I grew up with his daughter, and it was just like such a you just never know who you're going to run into throughout your career. So internships definitely have helped me along the way too, of, keeping individuals that I've worked with up to date with them on LinkedIn, making sure that I have their email, their phone number. If I need, to check in, or sometimes they'll have different opportunities or ways that you can take that next step. And then with Boomi, that connection came from the high school friend, which I talked about earlier. I grew up with her, we have very similar interests and goals in life. So it is your different tribes and different people that will come into play at different times. And I'll talk about a little bit later, but just, how to manage that tribe and make sure that you are not burning any bridges, being, keeping people close and using those connections well, because they definitely, you just never know when individuals are going to come back into your world. And the world is very small.
Yeah, it obviously is. I guess, do you consciously set aside time in your day or your week to kind of keep those connections made? I know everyone gets really, really busy during the work day and week, and it can get overwhelming with family and everything, to make sure that you're keeping those connections you're not seeing every single day. So how do you go about that?
Yeah, so for the closer friend groups, we have group chats, so there's always, things going on. We try to make time for dinner, celebrate one another's wins too. I know when I was looking to take this position, and I was, the current position with ACEC Virginia, as I mentioned before, it was my first time going into a leadership position of this nature. I'd managed people before, but had not been in a position of this caliber of leadership. And so it was nerve-wracking to take that, next step in your career. So I did really lean on that, high school group of friends and my college group of friends, and especially my high school group of friends. There's a lot of individuals in that group that they're boss babes, I'll say. They're just, they are the college group too, but a lot of those, high school friends, they're in some pretty cool leadership positions. And so I use them as a sounding board of being am I making the right decision? Can I do this? And so this is kind of off a tangent of how to keep up with them, but just, that kind of, we were sitting together, we had all gotten together for, an outing on a Friday night, and we're just all sitting, catching up. And I just remember all the conversations I had with people that day, and was just all right, I can do this, and I can, take my career to that next level that I want to take it to. So going back to, just setting time aside, yes, we are very busy. It is hard to set a time to be all right, I need to get together with X, Y, and Z. But sometimes it's just a quick phone call, a quick text to check in, a quick email if it's more on a professional level. Hey, let's grab a coffee. Do you want to grab lunch? And sometimes it's you might not have to do this all the time. There might be certain people in your tribe that's like, just quarterly or annually that you're getting together biannually. I know from past work experiences, I try to keep close with people I've worked with. I know from I'll do lunch, I'll do coffees. If people are not local, it becomes more of like a virtual check-in. And that way you can kind of keep your group and tribe up to date with what's going on in your life and seeing what's up to date with their life, because there's times that you're going to be able to help them as well, not just them helping you. So just remembering that, give advice when you can, and, share connection when you're able to make that warm introduction, because it goes both ways. It's not just a one-way street.
Absolutely. And I'd like to actually dig into your tangent a little bit deeper too, because a conversation that we've had on past speaker events is about how a lot of times as a woman in a male like dominated field, we might second guess ourselves and our ability to apply for a certain position, or we might think that we have to meet all of these boxes before we put our name out there, rather than just saying, no, I believe I can do it. I know myself, I'm confident, let's go for it. And I think that's a great example about having that tribe helps give you that support and that self-confidence to know, like, yes, this is something that I could do and I should go for.
Yeah. And I will say, a lot of women, and it's not all, but a lot of women, we play self-doubt a little bit more in our heads than we probably should. we go over all the options way too many times, even though you're like, all right, I can do this, but there's always that, little voice in the back of your head that you're like, can I do this? There's been studies done that, women are more likely to want to check all 10 boxes, where, men might only check 5. Like, yep, I can do this position. So it isn't interesting. Like, you just constantly have to remind yourself and lean into your tribe when you're having some of those self-doubts, as being like, hey, I'm having doubt, should I be having doubt, or is this just me overthinking?
Yeah, it gives you that validation from somebody who doesn't have those internal self-doubts about you going on. Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. I guess, what advice would you have? I know we've kind of gone over this a bit, but is there any more advice that you've had for people in all stages of their careers for building and then maintaining the supportive tribe?
Yes, I would just say, don't burn bridges. You just never know when people are going to come back into your world. Give when you can, and be open to receiving when you need it. Sometimes we feel like we don't want to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help when you need it, or ask for advice. It doesn't mean you're weak or don't know what you're doing. It just means that, you just want to have a second opinion. And then, when I said earlier, like, it's not a one-way street. Like, don't expect just people to constantly give to you, give back to the world. Connect with individuals on LinkedIn, connect with them, via email, in person. Get involved. I will say, getting involved, whether it's in your neighborhood, your school, your group of friends, your, trade organization, professional organization, you get as much as you put in. So just making sure that you get involved, because you're not going to connect with people if you're not actually getting involved. That goes with be present in the moment when you're engaging with people as well. And then show gratitude. Be thankful when someone has, helped you out. Like the individual that helped with the resume and, getting me a job lead, like I, sent them a nice thank you note and gift card, like, thanks for helping me. So just be thankful as well.
Yeah, I love that. And kind of speaking of helping others as well, ACEC provides a lot of resources for engineers, and not just the businesses, but the individuals as well. So I'd like to kind of talk about that for a bit, if you'd like to share some of the examples that you have. And for everybody listening, Megan's going to drop some links in the chat too for different ACEC, both the national and the Virginia specific areas for you to take a look at.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so with ACEC Virginia and our ACEC National, we are a tribe for the consulting engineering industry. There's a lot of different resources that we can provide to our member firms and those that work with in those firms to help you all build your tribe within the industry. It's a great way to get involved and to build your tribe is the committees that we offer. So we have an advocacy committee, education, environmental, membership, next gen, PAC, transportation, and vertical. So there's a committee for everyone. No matter what your discipline is, there is somewhere that you could probably fit and help with, build out our community. And it's a great way to see what other individuals and firms are doing across the Commonwealth. We also have forums, and then with our committees, they all meet monthly virtually, so we make it pretty easy to connect with these groups because we know that the Commonwealth is a very big state, so it's not as easy to travel to one centralized location in Virginia. So all of our committee meetings are monthly and done virtually. We also have forums on IT, finance, DEI, and HR. So if that is the part of the firm that you work within, we have forums that you can share best practices, connect with one another. Through our advocacy efforts, that's a great way to connect on the legislative front. I know that politics can be, divisive, but when you're working together for a common cause for our industry and to support our industry, it's a great way to meet individuals and other firms that are also excited about, pushing some items through that would help our industry and protecting, things like QBS. We're also doing regional socials. So our main hubs, I would say, for ACEC Virginia or Virginia Beach, the Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads area, Richmond, Greater Richmond area, and the Greater Roanoke area. ACEC Metro Washington has part of Virginia, and they cover the Northern Virginia area, and they also do a lot of socials in that area. And we're hoping that we can build out to maybe do some joint regional socials there. We have networking events and educational events throughout the year. And then we also do leadership training. We have an Emerging Leadership Institute, an enhanced leadership program, and a project management boot camp. These programs are really cool because it's a year-long program with one cohort. And so you get to build some really strong relationships and build your tribe within that. So it was really neat at our annual summer conference. We celebrate the graduates from these different programs. And this year it was the ELI, the Emerging Leadership Institute. And it was awesome just to see how close this group was and how excited they were for this graduation moment. So it is really neat that you can build your tribe that way. And then on the national front, our national organization also offers forums, committees, coalitions, events, and education offerings that allow our firms to meet others on a national level.
Awesome. Yeah, I know some of the guys from Thompson have participated in those leadership education groups, and they've all had great experiences. Definitely recommend anyone on the call interested in it to take a look. I think it's especially important now for the younger people joining our industry to get involved in those kind of networking events, because especially they were impacted by COVID-19 shutting everything down. They kind of didn't have that networking experience early on in their development. And so now they're like maybe a year or two into their careers and they haven't had that chance to build that tribe yet. So having a place where they can get together with people and start developing that is really important.
Yeah. And building the tribe, it's you're constantly doing this. It's not something that you ever stop. It's something that as long as you're, out there mingling, it's great to just add people that and connect, and just they will help. Hopefully, at some point you can help them or you will help them in their career or their life journey.
Yeah. And honestly, that's kind of the basis of this whole series. The goal of that is to create those connections for everyone who is watching and who participates, and we can all connect and have those kind of opportunities to grow each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, let's see, kind of shifting gears a little bit. When we heard your background, you're a non-engineer, right? But you
Yes.
work with a ton of engineers.
Yes.
So I would love to hear a little bit about what that process has been with for you learning how to, communicate with the technically minded people and show to them that, yeah, I'm not an engineer, but I know what I'm talking about. I have expertise and I can help.
Yes. Yeah, so I've, been listening and taking lots of notes, and just kind of trying to ramp up as quickly as possible on that high level so I know like the key words and being like, okay, if I say these keywords, I'm pretty sure I can come across that I know what I'm talking about. As I'm continuing to build upon my knowledge base. Asking questions when you need additional clarification, building my tribe of individuals I can go to within the industry, within our membership with these questions, knowing that they'll take the time to be like, all right, Kristina, this is, why this is, or how this is, or this is what you need to know about X, Y, and Z. So I've been very thankful to our members and industry professionals taking the time to, answer my questions when I have them. Also, using LinkedIn articles, news articles, just kind of going through and just reading as much as I can too. Like I'm not ever going to be a technical expert, but I want to have enough knowledge at a high level that when I go speak to a legislator that I know what I'm talking about. It also probably is a little bit helpful that I am speaking in the layman's terms as well with them because most of them are not professional engineers. So we're kind of speaking on the same level of here's the key aspects of what you need to know and why. But yeah, so it's a lot of the listening and taking notes, asking questions, and using my tribe of individuals that I can go to with these questions, and then just reading as much as I can too.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess I didn't really think about that. You're kind of the in-between.
Yeah.
The legislature, those people are not going to be usually engineers and technical, but you're supporting the businesses that are comprised of people who are technical.
Yes.
So you have to be able to understand them and communicate it to the legislatures. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is what it doesn't have to just be at ACEC, it can be your entire career. What would you have considered to be your greatest challenge, but then also your proudest accomplishment?
Yeah, I mean, that one I was thinking about a lot last night.
A tough one.
I mean, it came down to probably the Boomi experience because it did springboard me into this experience as well, which has been very challenging and rewarding as well. But when I started at Boomi, we were under Dell, and then basically we're divesting into our own company again. So there was a lot of change, a lot of everything up in the air. We were building a plane as we were flying it. Most of the departments that were support in the background, your HR, your finance, your treasury, procurement, all of that was done by Dell. So Boomi now was in charge of standing all of this up while we were bringing back portions of our company that were stood up internationally. When I joined the Boomi project management team, 3 people were exiting out, and there was only maybe 7 or 8 of us on the team. So it was, that hit hard, and that's how I got moved on that divestiture project, which I had never worked on mergers and acquisitions. I had never done any international business work other than my college degree. So it was cool that I got to use my international business degree. But it was a challenge. I was thrown into something that I was not expecting. I had gone in prepared, all right, this is what I'm going to be doing. This is what I was supposed to be doing. And to do a completely different thing that I had never been exposed to. First time in the corporate world, now working on this huge global project. And we were a small and mighty team. There was, the departments were small. There was only one project manager from Boomi, where Dell had about 5 to 7 working on it, depending on the time. So I learned a lot quickly, and when it was finally coming to that like end phase of, a year and a half later, it was really cool to see what we did and to know that I, helped lead that project and made sure that we got to the finish line. And there was a lot of bumps and hiccups and stressful situations along the way. But we did it, and it was really cool. And it gave me the, more confidence and additional skills and tools from my toolkit that I feel I'm using today to be successful in this current role.
Yeah. So would you also say then that a lot of building your confidence in what you do kind of is trial by error almost, like you got to just do it, and then as you gain more experience it'll start to build on that?
Yeah, I mean, building on your confidence, I definitely early on in my career was like a lot of watching and learning from others and seeing what are they doing, who's successful, who's the person in the room that I should be paying attention to. I also did a lot of like leadership training. Early on in my career, I went to some, the leadership training within the industry I was in at the time. Taking those continuing education courses. I was very involved with VAFRI, which was the nonprofit organization. I was on their board. I was involved with VSAE. Some of the events that I did when I was at the trade organization and collaborative efforts came from partnerships that I built within that organization. And then just, embracing the journey and taking those small steps, that confidence, it gets built upon. Like when you have those wins, you're like, okay, I can do this. And sometimes you might fail, but you also can learn from that as well. But just be, don't not take a risk or that next step because you might fail. I would say most of the time you're going to hopefully, succeed in that next role.
Yeah.
So,
and hopefully you have a team that's supporting you towards success instead.
Yes. Yeah. So my big thing is like, embrace the journey, take those steps, and, lean into that tribe when you need to.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I guess we're coming up on 12:45 pretty much exactly. So I'll let the audience start thinking about their questions and typing it in the chat. But we'll end it at least first on any final pieces of advice that you would like to give to the young women, but really anybody starting a career in our industry with architecture, engineering, construction, and even talking about nonprofits and stuff as well.
Yeah. So I would just say, network, get involved with an organization, take advantage of professional development and leadership development, allow yourself to grow and know that next steps in your career can sometimes feel scary at first. Lean into your tribe and be willing to, give yourself as a resource too, and just remember to show gratitude.
Well, thank you so much. We'll keep letting people see if they have any additional questions. I'm sorry if people heard that calendar notification. I really appreciate you joining us today. I think it's awesome to get kind of the experience from your side of the aisle, like supporting the engineering firms and kind of what got you there. And you definitely have a very interesting story. And I just really appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on and really appreciate, I see a lot of our members are on too. So thank you for supporting this series. I know that there's been a lot of great speakers. I know we have another good one coming up in August. So I know the ACEC Virginia team's on. So thank you for your support too. And for those that I don't know, it's been a pleasure getting to talk with you. And if you have any questions, please let me know. But thank you, Celia and Megan, for allowing me to be part of this series.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely appreciate it. And yeah, just like Kristina kind of hinted, we have our next speaker is Morgan Speight with Speight, Marshall and Francis, and she'll be joining us on August 21st. She originally was scheduled to join us on May and we had to reschedule. So if you had registered for her May event, you're automatically registered for her August one. But if you hadn't registered in August and you'd like to hear us speak with her, Megan will drop a link for that in the chat as well, and you can get registered. We'd love to see everybody there. Definitely really appreciate talking to people from all over the spectrum. And Morgan is a structural engineer for anybody who hasn't heard of her before. Oh, all right. We have a question came in from Stephanie Van Dyke. She asks, what's the toughest no you've dealt with professionally, and how did you grow from it?
Toughest, do you mean like no for a job or no for something I was working on?
A good question. I think you can take it for, she says any no. Yeah, you take it for any no.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What's the toughest no you've been dealt with professionally? Have you grown from it? Toughest no. I would probably. That's a good. I'm like, what is the toughest?
It's hard to think of the no's because you might not really try to remember that.
Yeah, because I mean, I know with Stephanie, I'm gonna have to like, I'm not sure what my toughest no is, that because I'm like, from jobs, I've usually like gone with the jobs that had like a seem like the next position, or like it was coming. From professional no's, I will say like a challenging, I don't know if this is like really a no, but it could be. So when I was at Boomi, I was, right when I started, they assigned me basically, I had like 4 projects because I don't think anyone understood how broad the divestiture project was, especially with departments being built up at that point. And I had to have a pretty like tough conversation with my boss at the time and saying, hey, like, I know I'm new and you don't really know me. I do have a good work ethic and I don't want it to seem like I don't, but my plate is really, really full and I don't think like I should be working on all these projects. And like, I think she had to like go like talk to a couple of other people to be like, all right, you are correct. Like we just need to put you on this one project. So I don't know if it was like a no, but that was a tough conversation that I had to have and had to like really beef myself up personally because I felt like a failure at first that I could not handle all of this workload.
Yeah.
And I had to come to terms with this wasn't a normal amount of work and we were all virtual. So she would have had no idea what I was having to put in to get that position, like that work over the line. So
yeah, that's almost a no that you had to trust yourself to give as well, rather than a no that you were given. You had to be the one to give the no and believe in yourself that it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stephanie says, that's perfect. Saying I can't is responsible. She's right. Like you want to do what you can to your best of your abilities and you don't want to like do things halfway just because you have to get all of this huge amount of stuff done.
Yeah.
We have another question from Benita. She says, if you feel that you are not growing in a position or promotions at work, how do you navigate the situation?
A good question as well. I would just say talk to if you have like a supervisor or a manager boss, just say, hey, like I'm feeling stagnant in my position. What are ways that I could grow, or maybe present to them some ways that you want to grow in your position, some other avenues that you would like to explore. Each firm is going to have a different way that they promote or grow, different plans in place, different amount of years depending on the size of an organization. So I would just say, just have like a candid, honest conversation with your supervisor, manager, boss, saying, hey, what does the next step in my career look like? How do I get there? What can I do if I'm not doing those things differently? Are you open to me exploring these avenues? And just kind of come in with maybe a game plan of where you want to go too, because sometimes it's helpful. You can't always read people's mind of exactly where they want to go. So it can be helpful if you're saying, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I would like to, do. It might not be that is possible, or it could be. It just kind of depends. Like, I don't know your exact, situation, but always just having that candid, honest conversation and asking the question. And also, you can always ask your tribe too. Be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about asking. Maybe have colleagues at work that you're close to, friends that are, have been in a similar situation, and get their feedback of how they handled that situation. What did you do? What worked? What didn't work? So yeah, I would just, ask that question and have some ideas of what would make you feel more successful in your role.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I think you're right that it really depends on the setup of where you are and how those promotions can happen, but you can have some growth in any position that you're in, right? You just have to be able to figure out what that is, what that avenue is that you want to go down. And then if you don't know the steps that you need to take to do it, ask somebody that you trust, ask your tribe, ask your colleagues. Yeah, that's spot on. See, we've got any more last questions, but we're kind of running up on our time anyways. So might end it here and say thank you again. You've been very insightful. I appreciate the kind of switch and focusing on a specific topic. I think that was a really good idea, and hopefully everybody watching gained something from it. As I want to keep sharing more and more useful information for everybody with every speaker that we have. And I think, Kristina, you're the perfect person to share growing your tribe examples, because you've had so much of success with that throughout your life and your career. So yeah, just thank you so much. We really appreciate you once again. And everyone, we hope to see you in August.
Yeah, thank you so much, and look forward to working with you all in different ways. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to always chat, and maybe we'll see you at ACEC Virginia event coming up too. So thank you all so much for having us, or having me.
Yeah, definitely. And don't forget, we shared those links to the different ACEC committees, events, etc. up earlier in the chat. So please take a look. Yep.
Thank you all, and hope everyone has a great summer too.
Yes, thank you, you as well.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.